Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video today I'm going to be going over Marvel's Iron Man. So after I did my Lady Deadpool, I was really inspired to do more comic book characters, and especially girl comic book characters, or even just gender bender ones. So I really love gender benders, and I've never really done any before my Lady Deadpool, so that was my first one, and this is kind of like my second gender bender of Iron Man, which is Iron Woman. This look is inspired by another YouTuber that I saw. Her name is Miss Don't Surrender, and she did an Iron Man look, but she had the mask taken off and she had feminine makeup underneath, which I thought was really cool, so I wanted to put my own little spin on it and do my version of it on my channel. I hope you guys enjoy this look. If you do, give it a very big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I have weekly body paint, special effects tutorials and personal videos. Without further ado, let's get started. Taking a white eyeliner pencil, I will be looking at a reference photo of Iron Man, and I'm going to start mapping out the red areas of the mask. I will have to change the proportions a little bit to make it suit my face shape, so you can go ahead and do that. I had to make the bars smaller on my forehead to make them not go too far up into my hairline. I'm then going to take a red face and body paint, and I'm going to start filling in the areas of the red mask around the border of my face. When it comes to painting your hair and your hairline, make sure that you have something that is not going to stain. It needs to be completely washable. I had to test out a few different colours that I had in my kit. The one that ended up washing out for me was the Wolf FX Red from the Appetizer palette. So I popped that all in my hairline and brought that all the way down my neck and all on the inside of my ears as well. You don't want to have a bright red scalp for a few days, so just test it out on a little portion of your hair and make sure it washes out completely before you go ahead and pop it all around the border of your face. I'm then going to pop a crop top on and start on the chest. I'm going to take some white paint and map out the white light in the center of my chest. I'm then going to take a larger brush with some more red face and body paint, and I'm going to fill in my whole chest area. I did do 2 coats because the first coat was a little patchy, but the thicker that you use the paint, the more coverage you'll get. So if you are working with water activated paints, use less water and you'll get more of a creamy and thick consistency, and that's going to give you a lot more coverage and a lot more color payoff. I did wait for all of the paint to dry, and then I moved on to doing the makeup in the center of my face. The first thing that I did was covered the center of my face with foundation. I did use a smaller brush to apply this to get it more accurate and precise. I'm looking for a full coverage foundation here because I want my skin to look absolutely perfect and flawless, like a robot, so I need it to be really shiny and plasticky. So I'm going to buff that in with my beauty blender, and then I'm going to take some concealer and apply that underneath my eyes and down the bridge of my nose. This concealer isn't too light for my skin, so it's not going to do much highlighting, but it will give me that extra coverage where I need it, and I am going to use a lighter powder to set it to make it a lot brighter. So I'm going to buff that in with my beauty blender, and then I'm going to take a translucent powder and I'm going to densely pack that underneath my eyes because I want this to be super bright and really highlighted. I'm going to pull that from the inner corner of my eye up to the tops of my cheekbone. I'm also going to pack that on the center of my nose and the center of my forehead. I'm then going to lightly dust a bit of that translucent powder over the tops of my eyelids, and this is just going to set it so when I apply the shadows on top, they're not going to crease and the concealer won't move around. After about 5 minutes, I'm then going to dust away all of that translucent powder, and I should be left with a nice bright base that's going to look really flawless and not cakey. I'm then going to take some brow tint and brush that through my brows. This is just a coloured brow gel, and it's easier for me to fill in my brows once they are a little bit darker, so I've done that. And then I'm going to take a dip brow and I'm going to start shaping them and making them more bold. I want the brows to be quite strong for this look because Iron Man's a strong character, and I feel like if you were Iron Woman you would be just as strong. So I'm going to take a warm brown and I'm going to start popping that into my crease. I'm going to be doing this to give it a nice orange brown shade to pair it with the gold that I'm going to be popping on the lid. To get the most colour payoff, I decided to go with a cream, so I'm going to take this gold cream or grease makeup and I'm going to densely pack that on the centre of the lid and the inner corner of my eye. I'm not going to bring that above my crease because this is just going to be the lid colour. I'm then going to lightly buff that out with a clean brush to blend the 2 colours together. Then I'm going to take a brown shadow and I'm going to pop this along my lower lash line to really smoke it out. I'm also going to lightly bring that into the crease as well. Of course I had to use gold because Iron Man has a gold mask and I really wanted to incorporate that into this gender bender Iron Woman look. I'm then going to apply some eyeliner. This is just personal preference, you don't have to if you're not an eyeliner fan. I'm then going to move on to prepping my lashes, so I'm going to curl them and apply generous coats of mascara, and I'm going to heavily apply the mascara on my bottom lash line to give it that smoky definition. I'm then going to pop on a wispy, dense pair of false lashes, and this is going to really enhance my eyes. Then I'm just going to pop some mascara over the top to blend them in with my real lashes. You need to run over the lash line again with some eyeliner to make sure the glue isn't visible, and then the eyes are complete. Next, I'm going to move on to sculpting the face, so I'm going to take a contour shade and I'm going to start buffing that into what I have left of the contours of my face, and I'm going to just apply this to give myself more of a tanned, contoured and sculpted look. I'm then going to apply some blush as well, and I'm going to pop that right on the apples of my cheeks to give myself some colour. I'm then going to take some highlighter and I'm going to apply that onto the tops of my cheekbones and all of the highest points of my face, like the center of my nose, the top of my brow bone, and my cupid's bow as well, to make my lips look nice and pouty. I'm then going to take a matte liquid lipstick in a nude shade and I'm going to apply that onto my lips. I went with nude over red because I felt like it was more subtle and it just gave my lips a nice definition. So after the lips were completed, that is the makeup finished for the center of my face. So now I can move back on to the body painting steps. The first thing I'm going to do is outline the border of my face. I'm going to be using a fine detailing brush and some black face and body paint. I'm going to get this as symmetrical as I can, so I will take my time with this. I'm going to outline a border around the circle in my chest, about 1 centimeter away from where it actually is. I'm then also going to outline the circle by itself. I went ahead and started to paint on the body detailing, but I didn't like the colour. I think I was just too bright red, and looking at reference photos, Iron Man is quite maroon and quite dark. So I went in and I blended out all that black paint and mixed all of the black and red together, and then I also just pre-mixed in some more black and red body paint on the side and applied that all over the whole entire chest area. Then I applied it into the hair and up into the sides of my face and my temples as well, just to darken up the whole look because I feel like it wasn't the correct colour. And once I did this, I felt a lot happier with the look, and then I continued on to detailing. So starting on the chest, I'm going to take a fine detailing brush and some black face and body paint. I was looking at plenty of reference photos from the movie and also from the comics as well, so I'm just going to thickly outline the circle in the centre of my chest. And then I'm going to move on to painting little stripes on either side, and this is going to create the shiny metal bars that Iron Man has. It's not exactly replicated to any specific look. I was kind of just mixing and matching with a whole bunch of different features between comics, movies, and even just costumes that I found on the internet. So I kind of just went with what suited the shape of my body and where I was placing all of these random lines. So you guys can copy my design or you can make up your own. It's always fun to challenge yourself and create some type of a robotic looking suit. For the neck piece, I thought it would be fun to have a play and make it look almost skeletal, so it's kind of iron plates that are in a skeletal shape. After that, I moved on to the chest, so I'm going to take a silver metallic cream and I'm going to apply this on those two little iron bars coming out from the center of my chest, and I wanted this to look quite three-dimensional, so I applied it sparsely and more heavy in certain areas of the bars. You do need to make sure that your chest is completely dry before you go ahead and add a grease on top of a water-based paint, otherwise you're just going to end up with a mixed sludge mess. So taking that same silver metallic paint, I'm going to use it as a highlight. Because it is a nice silver metallic colour, it's going to make it look a lot more shiny and give it a lot more dimension. In the film, Iron Man is actually made out of a whole bunch of plates and iron stuck together, so there is actually gaps in between the suit, which is where the black comes into play. So the black is kind of going to be like the hollows and the gaps, which is why I'm highlighting little dots of light on top and in between the gaps. For the breast part of the suit, I drew two diagonal lines coming out from the sides of my arms, and this is going to really accentuate the shape of the suit and that chest area. I'm then going to apply a little bit of cleavage, which is also going to look like metal plates of the suit. So if this was an actual suit, there would kind of be like chunky bra shaped plates. Next, I'm going to move on to the hands, so I'm going to paint a nice little robotic hand for myself. Use whatever hand you don't use to paint, so if you're left-handed, do it on your right hand, and if you're right-handed, do it on your left. So I'm going to start by painting the circle straight in the center of my palm. You can make this as big or as little as you want. I went with pretty much my whole entire palm. Then I mixed up some more of that maroon paint with some red and some black, and I painted a circle to the best of my abilities around the center of my palm to kind of clean up the shape and make it a little bit smaller. Then you need to just go ahead and fill in all of your fingers, the back of your hand, in between your fingers, and as far down as your arm as you would like for photography purposes. If you are a body paint enthusiast, it really adds to the look and just gives it an extra dimension having your hand painted and having that a part of the makeup look. But if you are cosplaying, then I would recommend the opposite. Grab a pair of gloves so then you're not walking around all day and everything that you're going to touch will turn to a maroon colour. Next, I'm going to take a fine detailing brush and I'm going to lightly outline the circle in the centre of my palm. I'm then going to outline all of the joins and folds in my fingers. This is going to replicate where the gloves on the suit would have spaces so the hands can open and close and move around. Looking at the chest, I decided that I wanted to thickly outline the border of the circle in the centre of my chest just to give it a little bit more definition. Then I'm going to move on to highlighting, so I'm taking a white cream paint and I'm going to be applying that about a few millimeters away from the black defined lines that I've made. That's going to leave a little bit of red there, so then when the highlight shows, it's going to make it look like it's more outstanding. So I'm going to be applying that around the border in kind of little L shapes and backward L shapes and U shapes as well, and this is going to create a nice shiny raised appearance of the iron that we're trying to achieve. Highlighting in this method is really going to help diffuse the edge of where your hairline actually is, and it's really going to make the mask blend off nicely up into your hair without noticing that you don't have a bold cap on or without noticing that you've actually just painted your hair. With that same white grease, I'm going to apply that sparsely throughout the suit to give it nice highlight points where I feel like the light would be hitting it the most and certain areas that would be raised over others. So this is going to achieve that really nice three-dimensional metal look that we're going for with all the different types of highlights, whether it be a white cream or a silver metallic cream. Then I'm just going to go over a few last spots to really brighten up and intensify those areas just so they specifically really pop out. And then I'm going to paint some on my hand as well to make it blend in with the rest of the body. So that's it guys, after you've completed that, this is the finished look. I hope you all enjoyed this gender bender Iron Man / Iron Woman tutorial. If you did, please give it a very big thumbs up because it helps me out a lot. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and request any videos you'd like to see below. And if you recreate any of my tutorials, please tag me on Instagram so I can see it. I absolutely love seeing and sharing your guys' work, so please don't hesitate. Thank you guys all so much for watching and thank you for all subscribing to my channel. I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye guys.